I want to begin by thanking our two sponsors for this TED Talk session, sponsors being University of Texas School of Social Work and then also the University of Southern California School of Social Work. They're sponsoring and co-sponsoring this together for us. We have got 3 presentations. I know the schedule says 4, but if you remember, Victor Kidd presented yesterday morning, so he is not presenting this afternoon. So the 3 presenters, there's 2 really good ones and there's 1 mediocre presenter. So the 2 really good presenters are going to be Lauren Mordecai, who she disappeared.
I thought you were going to say
Oh, there you go. You're everything. No, you're the good one. Lauren Mordecai will be presenting 3rd in our lineup. Hitting 2nd in our lineup is the other fantastic speaker, which is Heather, over there. And the mediocre one's me. You stuck with me for a TED Talk presentation. Life just sucks. So there you have it. So I'll get started, get the ball rolling. I'll do my 12 minutes, and you know that I'm going to stay on time because I have bitched at him and nonstop this conference about making sure you stay on time. And he's not done it yet, but he gets better every day. Today we're only running 7 minutes behind schedule as opposed to like 47 minutes. So it's a good plus or minus differential that we'll have. So the title of my TED Talk is From Injury to Resiliency, a social worker's role in helping athletes who've experienced season-ending or career-ending injuries. So now I'll give you sort of a story on why we decided to take a particular look at this. So I have got 3 tremendous researchers that helped from Ball State University with this, and it was truly an interprofessional collaboration. We had a student that just recently graduated in May and is now doing athletic training in North Carolina, but was an athletic training major at Ball State. We had an undergraduate social work student, and we had a graduate student within the exercise and sports psychology program. And then, of course, me. So, I mean, it really embodies that interprofessional collaboration that we've heard so much about while we're here today, is how do you get individuals from different disciplines connected together to try to work on one particular topic. So this story hits really close to home for me. So in October of 2015, I woke up one day with lightning bolts shooting around in my left eye. So, and black floaters floating all over the place. And, you know, obviously you're wondering what the hell's going on with your eyeball. So I made a trip to my optometrist, who quickly referred me to an ophthalmologist. Said, I will tell you this, ophthalmologist, I don't think there's any in the room, so I'm safe to say this, has 0 personality. So, you can't have a personality to be one. I'm convinced of it, because I've seen about a dozen of them all across the Midwest, and none of them have been entertaining, energetic, or laughed at any of my jokes. I thought were funny that they did not find me funny. So needless to say, the lightning flashes and the black floaters I saw was a detached retina. So if you don't know anything about detached retinas, they're not pleasant. So I mean, a detached retina, they always start with a surgery that they call a scleral buckle and a gas bubble. In the scleral buckle, they literally sew a piece of silicone to the back of your eyeball. So I mean, in essence, move it around, shift it some, the silicone sewing on the back of it, they put a gas bubble in it, you get this gas bubble, you're stuck laying in a particular direction for extended periods of time. So I mean, it was 4 weeks that I was forced to sit straight up. Couldn't sleep laying down, couldn't sleep on my side, had to sleep straight up. So they're promising me, right, during this entire surgery and during this recovery, which is just honestly miserable and excruciating, not pain-wise, just mentally draining, to know that you can't lay in particular things and you can't do a lot of things that you want to do. Promising that it's going to work, didn't work. So here I am, 10 surgeries later, within the last 2 years, and I have spent more thousands of dollars than I ever care to think about on eye surgeries. And I've lost all vision in my left eye. I'm completely blind. So I mean, if I go like this, you all completely disappear. I don't see any of you. So, and this started getting my attention going to the fact that there's a lot of athletes, right, that go through these season and career-ending injuries on a routine basis. So, and while I'm not competing in a college athletic program anymore, I mean, tennis is still a huge part of my life, whether it's coaching it, whether it's being around athletes that are playing in it, whether it's watching it on television, it matters a lot to me. I mean, just like the sports that you all have grown up playing, whether it be volleyball at Villanova or some of the other things that people have participated in, it matters. So, and I started like recognizing that I was struggling really bad with this. So, I mean, to the point where it doesn't impact my mind. I can coach perfectly fine, but I can't play like I used to. So, I mean, I kid you not, that's probably even a little better than what I see out of my left eye, is what you see up there on that particular screen. I've lost all depth perception. I mean, I walked up the stairs, Tamika will verify for this, I ran headfirst into the damn light post walking up the stairs like an hour. ago and about knocked myself out by doing it because I just flat didn't see it. And I run into people on campus all the time. My worst of those longboarders that come like whizzing down the sidewalks on campus, I've probably taken out 3 or 4 of them. They're lucky that they still alive. But it's how it goes. I don't see anything. I mean, there's nothing. I wave my hand as much as I want to. I'm not going to see anything. But like trying to play tennis with 0 depth perception, trying to hit an open stance forehand when you're not seeing a ball until it's like right here versus seeing it out in front of your actual visual field, is a really daunting and tough thing to be able to do. And it got me thinking with these researchers, there's a lot of research that looks at season-ending and career-ending injuries. There's not a whole lot of models that we utilize that really look at ways that you can try to turn these injuries into opportunities for resiliency as opposed for what we oftentimes see, negative coping mechanisms associated with it, major depression, anxiety issues, which then trickle in to impact other areas within your particular life. And across the country on any given year at the collegiate level, there are 4,000 athletes that experience a season-ending or a career-ending injury. Anybody in here have one while they were competing in college? Right, so we have a sample sitting right here in front of us, and I'm fairly certain if I had more than 12 minutes that you would tell me that it is a not fun experience to have to go through, and that it is extremely emotional to try to figure out how you're going to replace that time, how you're going to recover from what it is that you went to. It takes away, it's one of my biggest passions in sports social work, and that is that whole identity piece. It strips away a portion of who you are. Right? And I'm removed from college athletics, but it's still stripped away a portion of who I am and the identity that I have. And I'm fortunate to have a fantastic wife, 3 beautiful children, family support that is close by, financial resources that allow for me to pay for the surgeries and to see some of the best doctors in the country. Graduated from college. I don't need to ever go back to sit through another college education classroom again, so I don't have that stress there. I have a lot of great things going for me. And I struggled like none other with it, and still struggle with it to this day. I would not say that I'm depressed. I don't think anybody in here needs to clinically see me, but I mean, it weighs on my mind on a daily basis. That there are things that I used to be able to do even a year and a half ago that I simply can't do anymore. So I worry daily, not so much about this eye, but this eye. Right? This right eye sees 20/20, which allows for me to function fairly well, but God forbid something happened to this right eye, I'm in a world of trouble. So, I mean, I'm going to have to adjust and to adapt more so than I think I probably would at any other point in my life. I already got my wife prepared for a potential guide dog to be coming into our house just in case. We already got 3 dogs and she bitches about the 3 that we have already. So I told her the 4th one may be coming, and if it's coming, we're going to have it because I got to be able to see to get around. But I worry about it. So you start to think about how does this weigh on the actual athletic mind? From a biological aspect, on the trauma that they go through with the actual injury, the recovery process that comes along with the actual injury. So for me, right, this is a daunting physical recovery. Not painful. I mean, there really has not been anything painful associated with it, but the time spent in certain directions, the number of things, and the drops. I mean, I still to this day have to put 8 drops in my eyeball. So, I mean, that's 8 a day. And there are times when you're going through these surgeries, you're putting 30 to 35 drops within your eye, like on a 2-hour block period. It's a horrible experience to have to go through. So I think about it from the psychological aspect. It's how does it mentally start to drain you away? And then from a social aspect, it takes you away from a lot of things. I mean, because of recoveries that I've gone through, I've missed tons of my own kids' stuff. I can't go to certain things, so I'm not allowed to move my head in certain directions, and I'm fine now. I mean, my last surgery was a month and a half ago, and they claim that that's the last one that I'll have to have probably for another 5 years, because at this point they're just trying to preserve the actual physical eye, so I don't have to do the glass eye route. So, but I mean, I'm not going to get any vision back, so trying to say that's a complete lost cause. So I got the interprofessional team that I was working with thinking about, well, what models are out there that we really could look at? So we know that for cancer survivors, for natural disasters, for traumatic brain injury, for a lot of other chronic illnesses, that there is this post-traumatic growth model that is oftentimes looked at and viewed in social work as being a standard for how you help individuals overcome challenging times. What you don't see is, does post-traumatic growth correlate to some of the athletic participations and the other things that we might find within sport? I think it's a model that we absolutely have to look at. Because you look at these principles that define post-traumatic growth: new possibilities, spiritual changes, personal strength, the ability to relate to others, the fact that you might be able to find new appreciation within your particular life. So the study that we did looked at ways in which we can monitor whether or not athletes that experience these season-ending or career-ending injuries would show signs of post-traumatic growth. If they did, what were the clear signs that we were seeing? And if not, where the deficiencies at so that we as social work professionals, sports psychologists, clinical psychologists, other licensed mental health professionals might be able to step into the equation to provide some level of support for those particular individuals to ensure that they are finding new possibilities, that they're finding individuals that they can relate to, that if they are of spiritual nature, that they have the ability to connect with that spirituality within them to help them in particular things. So all those dimensions of post-traumatic growth related to these particular injuries. So this was a convenient sample. So right, you all know if you take any research class, convenient samples are extremely limited on their generalizability. So what you've got here is a snapshot that we're hoping to be able to actually submit a grant funding for a much larger scale study to start looking at it. But when there's nothing in the literature base, sometimes you got to start small with a pilot study and then build and build and build, and eventually you get to that golden standard that you're hoping to be able to have. So we sent out a call for proposals to students at Ball State University, saying that if you are a current Ball State athlete or you are a former varsity high school athlete that experienced a career-ending or a season-ending injury, to please participate within our study. We were pleased. We got 93 participants that responded to the survey, which was more than I thought that we were going to get. So I would actually smile. It might not seem like a lot, but when you're sending out something in a convenience standpoint, you never know what you're going to get. So I smiled about it. The research tool that we use is the Post-Traumatic Growth Inventory, which is a heavily validated and reliable measure used in post-traumatic growth research. So it's got good internal consistent reliability measures. It's been used multiple times in studies. It's been used in studies that look at different things with the college age population, not athletic injuries, but looking at their response, like I said, cancer, to natural disasters, things like that. So we did some descriptive statistics. We also did a two-way ANOVA that walked us through some of this. Now, I don't want to spend forever on the two-way ANOVA because that would take more than 12 minutes to be able to actually explain. So what I will show you is that you've got the mean scores up here for individuals on where they actually scored on some of these particular categories. The thing that I would look at the most is the actual factor average that is associated with it. The mean totals don't mean a whole lot. This is broken down on the mean from a scale of 1 to 5 on the Likert scale. 1 meaning they didn't experience it at all, 5 meaning they experienced it to a great deal. So you start to look at this, right? It's about middle of the road, which then starts to lead to you as social workers. So what can we do to try to help boost some of these scores in the direction which we need to? And sure, we know that there are athletic support groups out there. We know that there is phenomenal individual counseling. Cindy talked earlier in the week about the usage of group counseling within various aspects of athletics, but this is one of those things I think we need to do a little bit more of, knowing the number of athletes that are experiencing these types of things and are going through the challenges that are associated with it. So overall score being 3.13, how great would it be if that overall score was in the 4 to the 5 range, meaning the athletes were actually utilizing some of these types of things. And I always look for simple solutions to problems. A lot of these are simple conversations to have, right? When I was going through some of these types of things, and I experienced a broken ankle during my junior year of college tennis and missed an entire college tennis season from that. And I don't ever remember an athletic trainer asking me, who are you talking to about the particular things that you're going through? Now that you've experienced this injury, what are you going to try to do to find new opportunities within tennis to still feel like you're a part of the team, to utilize this to help you address and to face other challenges and life obstacles that are going to come your direction? I don't remember any of that. I'm starting to think, well, maybe if we actually have more dialogue associated with these post-traumatic growth factors, we might be able to ideally see more opportunities to be able to do some of the things that we want to be able to do and to ensure that that athletic identity, that athletic culture is not stripped completely away from individuals, but we find ways to maintain it while still putting them in a position to do the rehab, to do what's necessary to get them back either on a playing field or to maintain some level of commitment. Because I tell you, without coaching, I'll lose tennis probably completely because I'm not playing in competitive leagues anymore. So Mark knows I'm a huge hockey fan and a huge hockey player also. I played in adult hockey leagues and through various youth programs growing up my entire life. I don't do hockey anymore because, God forbid, I'm skating around trying to hit somebody and I don't see you. That's just bad. They don't look favorably upon that in the D adult leagues where they're non-checking. I come barreling into people. So, and I'll end with this because I think that this is somewhat funny. So this is a picture of the high school program that I coached before jumping ship to Butler. And I tried, right, when you're going through all this, these high school players went through it with me. I mean, because they were a huge part of it. And I give tremendous credit to 14 and 18-year-old minds that have the ability to understand what a coach is going through, what their family's going through, and just how difficult some of the challenges that we faced along this obstacle are. So this is a picture of them in the regional championship match. Right, they all wore eye patches. I had surgery that morning. I probably shouldn't have been at this match. The doctor highly advised against it. I said, no, I'm going. I was extremely doped up. I don't remember any of it. I really don't remember it. I remember giving the newspaper interview thinking to myself, God, do I even sound coherent? But, you know, little things like this, right? We're able to talk about it as a team. They did little things that made me feel more connected to it, which are things that you're hoping if you've got athletes that are going through it, that their teammates can do the same type of thing. And at the end of the year, we give out paper plate awards. So the paper plate award that I got this year was the Coach Moore, the He's All Right award. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't really get it. I mean, are they just saying I'm all right? And then they finally dawned on me, I'm all right because I can only see out of my right eye. So I don't have any vision in the left eye. So I really am all right in that capacity. So that's my presentation. I got 2 minutes for questions to stay true to my 15 minutes. So I will answer anything that you have before turning it over to Heather. If you don't have questions, that's good too.
I have one question.
Yeah.
As far as like your theoretical framework for that, the post-traumatic, because there's like this debate, especially with the athletic retirement, about like the whole gerontological school, and then sort of like this is just a normal event. And I guess like what was sort of like your approach to? Did you use more like trauma informed, or kind of like more of a retirement perspective for your theoretical framework?
Both.
Okay.
So there is tremendous literature that talks about forced retirement within athletics.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that as well as I do, that when you experience an injury, you're in essence being taken away from something at a time that you weren't prepared to be taken away from it with. From a theoretical standpoint, my big push on this is athletics to a high-level athlete is one of the most important things within their life. I mean, I love tennis, not to the degree that I love my wife and my kids, but I love it probably more than I do just about any other person in the world besides those that are closest to me.
Sure.
So I mean, you start taking away things like that, it is a traumatic experience. So I mean, there is some certainly trauma-informed elements that go along with it as well. So like I said, this is, you know, we've got an article that was submitted for publication, and it made it through peer review. We're doing some edits on it right now, so I'd be happy to share the actual article, because I didn't go that heavy into the research in a 12-minute
and I was going to tell you
presentation.
too, I know, like, I actually talked to Brewer from Springfield College. They're developing a scale, because the big issue is a scale that combines athletic identity and foreclosure. They're actually supposed to be coming out with a scale that,
we need things like that.
and it's supposed to be coming out like within the next year or so. So
might be another good measure that we can use.
Yeah.
Because I don't plan on this being the only thing that we do with it. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's more that needs to be looked at, especially as we start to see more and more social workers filling in on some of these interprofessional teams. And, you know, I think Lovey left, who's an athletic trainer and works for the University of Georgia, but we were talking yesterday that, you know, athletic trainers are oftentimes a frontline mental health worker, which many of us know, because when you're working with an athletic trainer, you've got idle time to sit in an ice bath, or while they're doing various therapeutic techniques, or even to wrap an ankle. It takes a handful of minutes to have something like that done, that you're filling it with words, and those words are oftentimes warning signs and triggers of the mental and the social aspects of how athletics are impacting you. So there's a lot to be said about, you know, injury response and the role that we can play. Because while we're not athletic trainers, you don't want me doing athletic training things to you. There's a emotional side to the injury aspect that sometimes I don't think that we always pay as much attention to as we probably should. So good question. All right, Heather, come on up. You have one on a thumb drive?
Yes.